"If you can fly this helicopter, I'll marry you," the boss mocked, only to be left speechless when she discovered the janitor's true identity. The hangar vibrated with the laughter of employees, a sound that mingled with the metallic clang of tools echoing through the vast space. Claudia, the director of the private aviation company, moved with an air of authority among the mechanics, scrutinizing every inch of the newly acquired helicopter. She was young, impeccably dressed, and radiated a pride in her own power. Around her, people either genuinely admired her or were skilled at pretending to. All except for one man, Omar, the quiet janitor. He was a phantom who appeared before sunrise each morning and vanished after dusk, his broom a constant companion, and his gaze fixed on some distant, unseen point. "Omar, make sure this area is spotless. We have an important visitor today," she commanded without even glancing in his direction. "It's already taken care of, ma'am," he replied, his voice a calm, steady current. "Taken care of?" she echoed, a laugh laced with sarcasm escaping her lips. "I highly doubt a man like you understands what ready truly means." A chorus of laughter from the onlookers supported her jab. Omar simply gave a slight nod and went back to his duties. Yet there was a flicker in his eyes, a carefully guarded mix of patience and sorrow that went unnoticed by everyone, save for one of the older mechanics who looked away, a sense of discomfort washing over him. A few days later, during a spontaneous gathering on the tarmac, Claudia was showcasing the capabilities of the new aircraft. In her typically arrogant fashion, she decided to make what she thought was a witty remark. "So, who's brave enough to take it for a spin? How about it, Omar?" she called out, her voice ringing with amusement. "If you can get this thing off the ground, I'll marry you on the spot." The crowd erupted. She had meant it as a harmless joke, fully expecting the janitor to blush or stammer out an excuse. But Omar's reaction was not what she anticipated. He slowly raised his head, his eyes locking onto the helicopter. Without uttering a single word, he set his mop aside. His movements were deliberate and calm, a stark contrast to the boisterous energy around him. "Hey, hold on. Where do you think you're going?" Claudia asked, her brow furrowed in confusion as she watched him climb into the cockpit. The laughter died down, replaced by a ripple of murmurs. Omar settled into the pilot's seat, fastened the safety belt, and his hands began to dance across the controls with a level of precision that left everyone stunned into silence. He powered up the instrument panel, ran a check on the systems, and engaged the levers with the fluid expertise of a seasoned professional. The roar of the engine shattered the quiet. With flawless stability, the helicopter lifted a few inches off the ground, hovering perfectly. The stunned employees instinctively took a step back, while Claudia could only stare, her mind refusing to process what her eyes were seeing. As the aircraft landed with a gentle touch, a collective unspoken tension filled the air. Omar disembarked with the same unhurried grace he had shown before, picked up his mop, and said coolly, "You can proceed with your demonstration now, ma'am." No one dared to even chuckle. Claudia watched him, her mind racing to make sense of the moment. "How did you do that?" she finally managed to ask, her voice barely a whisper. "Let's just say I had to learn, in order to save lives," he answered, his gaze once again drifting toward the horizon. In that single moment, the entire dynamic shifted. He was no longer just the janitor. And while Claudia fought to maintain her composure, something deep inside her, a fragile structure of pride, shame, and newfound curiosity, began to fracture. "Omar, wait," she called out before he could walk away. "I need to speak with you in my office." He nodded, not bothering to make eye contact. As he walked past her, Claudia felt a wave of unease she had never known. For the very first time in her life, she was not the one in control. That afternoon, as the sun cast long shadows over the hangars, Claudia found it impossible to focus. The image of that man, her janitor, expertly bringing the helicopter to life, played on a loop in her head. Who was he, really? And what was he doing mopping floors for a living? When he finally stepped into her office, the silence was thick with unspoken questions. Omar stood respectfully, yet his unwavering gaze made her feel completely exposed. "I wasn't aware you had a background in aviation," she began, trying to keep her tone light. "I left that world behind a long time ago." he replied, his voice devoid of any emotion. Why? She pressed, a genuine curiosity now overriding her initial shock. Omar held her gaze. Because sometimes the sky grants you glory, but life ensures you learn how to fall. His words sent a shiver down her spine. She couldn't fathom the story hidden behind that stoic expression, but she knew it was profound. She began to feel something she never expected: admiration. But just as she was about to ask another question, an urgent call came through. There had been an accident in the testing area. Omar's reaction was immediate. He grabbed a first aid kit from the wall, sprinted out of the office and yelled, "Someone call for emergency services." Claudia, taken aback, hurried after him. This man didn't just know how to fly, he knew how to lead. Omar was the first to arrive at the scene. The sharp scent of fuel and hot metal hung heavy in the air. A young mechanic was on the ground, unconscious, a gash on his head and his leg pinned beneath a heavy piece of landing gear. Without a moment's hesitation, Omar dropped to his knees and began working with the precision of a field surgeon. His authoritative voice cut through the rising panic. "Get me a crowbar and clean cloths now," he commanded. Claudia stood frozen, watching the man who, just that morning, was invisible to her, now commanding the entire emergency situation like a seasoned officer. In a matter of minutes, he had fashioned a makeshift splint, staunched the bleeding, and, with the help of other workers, freed the young man's leg. By the time the distant wail of sirens grew closer, Omar had already stabilized the injured mechanic. The first paramedic to arrive paused, visibly impressed by the scene. "Who administered first aid?" he asked. "He did," Claudia replied, pointing to Omar. The paramedic nodded in approval. "Excellent work. You likely saved his leg and possibly his life." The whispers among the employees intensified. A lump formed in Claudia's throat. She approached Omar slowly. "I don't know how to thank you," she said softly. He wiped his hands on a towel. "I didn't do it for you. I did it because I know what it's like to lose someone while everyone else just stands and watches." That statement echoed in Claudia's mind. She couldn't sleep that night. Driven by a need for answers, she delved into the company's personnel files and digital archives. What she found sent a chill down her spine. Omar's record was anything but ordinary. His previous employment was with the armed forces, where he had been a highly decorated pilot, recognized for heroic rescue missions in the wake of natural disasters and conflict zones. Then, 6 years ago, he had vanished from all official records, immediately following a catastrophic aviation incident that claimed the lives of 3 of his crewmates. The next morning, Claudia was waiting for him at the helipad as the sun began to rise. When he appeared in his work uniform, mop in hand, she intercepted him. "I read your file," she stated plainly. "I know who you are, Omar." He remained silent, his eyes fixed on the horizon. "Why are you here?" she pressed, her voice softer this time. "Because here nobody asks me about my past. They just let me do my job." A heavy silence fell between them. Claudia looked down, a feeling of deep shame washing over her. "I judged you without knowing anything. Worse, I made a mockery of you." "It's what most people do," he replied with a calm resignation. "The issue isn't the laughter. It's the failure to look beyond what's on the surface." His words struck her with the force of a truth she had spent her life avoiding. For the first time, Claudia felt compelled to apologize, not as a superior to her subordinate, but as one human being to another. "You're right, Omar. We get so caught up in thinking that value is measured by wealth, status, or power. But today I realized that some souls have soared higher than any of us ever will." A faint, almost imperceptible smile touched his lips. "What's important isn't how high you fly, but what you do after you fall." In the following days, word of the heroic rescue spread throughout the company. Some employees now approached Omar with a newfound respect, while others watched him with open admiration. But for Claudia, the memory of her cruel joke weighed heavily on her conscience. One evening, as he was finishing his shift, she approached him, a sincere smile on her face and a set of keys in her hand. "Do you remember what I said to you that day?" she asked. Omar gave her a puzzled look. About the helicopter. You said if I flew it, you'd marry me. Claudia's face flushed with embarrassment. It was a terrible joke. But if you'll let me, I'd like to invite you to fly with me. No strings attached, no mockery, just a flight. Omar studied her for a long moment and then, for the first time, a soft laugh escaped him. I haven't flown in years. Then it's time you did. Not for me, for you. The sun was setting behind the hills as they both climbed into the helicopter. The blades began to spin, slowly at first, kicking up dust and leaves. From the sky, the city below looked distant and serene. Claudia watched him at the controls, flying with an effortless calm, as if he had never stopped. You know, she said, looking out the window, sometimes you have to lose control to understand who really has it. Omar smiled. And sometimes, destiny makes you sweep the floors of the very place where you once touched the sky, just to remind you that humility also has wings. The tranquility of the heavens enveloped them. For a brief period, there were no titles, no hierarchies, no labels, just two individuals who had come to understand that true altitude is measured in respect. After they landed, Claudia stepped out first. She looked at him with profound gratitude and said, her voice full of conviction, "Thank you for teaching me that behind every uniform, there's a story that deserves to be heard." Omar simply nodded, seeking no praise or recognition. He walked off toward the sunset, his mop resting on his shoulder, knowing that today he had cleaned more than just a hangar. He had cleansed the pride from a woman's heart and the blindness from the eyes of many. As he walked away, Claudia watched him, her heart full and her eyes glistening. She now understood that some promises are born from ego, but the most important ones, like the one she felt growing inside her, are born from respect. And as the helicopter's metallic skin reflected the last rays of sunlight, an inner voice reminded her of a lesson she would never forget. You never truly know the person standing in front of you. Appearances can be deceiving, but dignity and respect are the only things that are non-negotiable.